أهلا أهلا كيف الحال؟ Welcome to Learn Arabic Online with Loubna Duymayan. Have you heard the news about the devastation of the Arabic sentences in the Middle East who lost their subjects? It was also confirmed that the active voice of the verbs was muted. Isn't that mean? So, the grammarians gathered to resolve the problem in question. Here is the resolution. They agreed to bring a substitute for the missing doer, the fugitive, and keep the action word passive with some sonant alterations for the sake of the preservation of the anatomy of the sentence. To turn an active verb to a passive of the unknown, we are going to manipulate only short vowels within the active structure, but we will not touch any of the letters. However, we are going to change the weak letters as always, the alif, waw, ya, within the structure to ones that suit the new short vowels. Now, we will see how the passive is used and what it means. How do we convert a sentence to the passive form? If we oppose the active and passive verbs, you will realize that the difference between the two regards the direction of the action indicated by the verb toward the subject. That is whether the subject of the verb receives the action or not. The direct object of the active sentence will become the subject of the passive sentence. The doer of the action is supposed to be unmentioned. In fact, the Arabic word for the passive is al-majhul, the unknown, in reference to the fact that the passive is used so the doer of the action will remain unknown. Alright? Mysterious language. In active sentences, the thing doing the action is the subject of the sentence, of course. We all know that. And the thing receiving the action is the object. So, in passive sentences, the thing receiving the action is the subject of the sentence. Arabic has three types of passive verbs. Passive verbs for the unknown. Alright? So if we say passive verb in Arabic, we would say فعل مبني للمجهول. Literally means verb built for the unknown. Alright? So, it's when the action is done by someone or something. So, it indicates a passive action plus an unspecified agent, the fugitive. Alright, so let's check examples. Alright? ضرب اللاعب الكرة. ضرب, to hit. The player hit the ball. Alright? So this is an active sentence. And its passive version is ضربت الكرة. What happened? So, ضرب is a form 1 sound verb, to hit. ضرب is its passive. So what we're going to do is just to change the فتحة, so we will start with Dhamma. The first short vowel will be a Dhamma. Alright? And the stem vowel, the middle vowel, will take the Kasra. Doriba. He was hit. But since Al-Kura, which was the object of the active sentence, became the object of the passive sentence, Al-Kuratu, so we have a change in case. Alright? Now it is in the nominative case since it is acting as the doer. Alright? So the object took over. Alright? So we have a coward doer, the fugitive, and a very courageous substitute. So this is the substitute of the doer, which is called naibul fa'il. Naibul fa'il. Naibu al-fa'il. So this subject has to match the verb in number and gender. And since al-Kura is feminine singular, so the verb will be conjugated in the third person singular feminine passive voice. So we will add the ta, referring to al-Kura. Duribat al-Kuratu. The ball was hit. Alright? But we don't know by who. By someone. A coward one. سجل اللاعب الهدف. سجل is to score. So here the player scored the goal. So the player has to be proud of himself. But it's not the case when it's in the passive form. So we say sujila again. The dhamma u i. Sujila. Sajjala. Sujila. Alright, we keep everything as is. We just start with dhamma and kasra for the stem radical. So sujjila al-hadafu. Al-hadafu from al-hadafa, accusative, object of the sentence here in the nominative case and the subject of the passive verb. Sujjila al-hadafu. The goal was scored by the fugitive. Alright. شربت عصير البرتقال. I drank orange juice. شرب. شرب is to drink. شرب. Form 1, sound verb. So how do we convert this to a passive verb? So we start with the u verbs. U, shu, riba. We already have a kasra in the middle, so we don't need another kasra, another brand new kasra. We keep the old kasra. Shuriba. So shuriba asirul burtuqali. Orange juice was drunk. Have you ever seen a drunk orange juice in the bar? Shuriba asirul burtuqal. So this is the way this sentence is translated. Orange juice was drunk. Alright? عقد الوزير مؤتمرا صحفيا أمس. عقد normally means to tie. Okay? But when you say عقد مؤتمرا or عقد مؤتمرا or اجتماعا, it means to hold a conference, مؤتمر, or to hold a meeting, اجتماع. But if it's just by its own, عقد means to tie. It comes with a lot of different meanings. So عقد الوزير مؤتمرا صحفيا أمس. The minister held a press conference yesterday. Press conference. مؤتمر صحفي. So مؤتمرا is the object of عقد, and صحفيا is its modifying adjective. So we will get rid of the doer. Alright, the doer will be gone for vacation, maybe. Alright, so from عقد, what do we do? The verb. عقد. So damma for the first radical and kasra for the stem radical. عقد. عقد, what was held? مؤتمر صحفي. So we will bring the object with its modifying adjective and we will change the case. So since this is now the subject of the verb عقد, it will be in the nominative case. مؤتمر, and its modifying adjective also will follow. صحفي أمس. So a press conference, alright, was held yesterday. Was held yesterday. Alright? Here. قال الشاهد الحقيقة. Here we have a hollow verb. قال, to say. Hollow verb, الفعل الأجوف, the one with the weak radical in the middle. Alright? So قال الشاهد الحقيقة. The witness said the truth. So how do we convert this verb? قال. Normally, what did we say? For the verbs, we'll start with the damma. Okay, let's say قو. The middle radical has to take kasra and the lam. But the kasra doesn't match the long vowel alif. So what are we going to do to suit the kasra? Alright? We have to change it to ya. Okay? And since this is a long vowel, its preceding consonant has to take the kasra. Alright? To match the long vowel. So we get rid of the damma. We put kasra. So since this is already mentioning e, since this is a long vowel, we don't need kasra here. So say qila. Qila. So this is what's happening with the these kind of verbs. Alright, hollow verbs. So qila. Qala qila. الشاهد, the witness is gone. Maybe it was murdered. We don't know. So we have just the object left. So al-haqiqa. And since al-haqiqa is singular feminine, so the conjugation has to match. So we will add the ta referring to the third person singular feminine. Alright? قيلت. قيلت الحقيقة. The truth was said. Okay? Here we have the verb قال, the hello verb, conjugated in the present tense. So let's see how do we convert that kind of verb in that kind of conjugation. يقول الراوي القصص. So يقول, the narrator tells stories. Okay? So here, when you have the verb conjugated in the present tense, we will start with the damma, you. Okay? We will start with the damma, you. And then the short vowel before the last one has to be fatha. Okay? And since we already have, if you keep the waw here and we put the fatha, so damma for the first and fatha before the last. Okay? So waw doesn't match the fatha. What is the best match for fatha is the alif. So we will convert this to alif. We already have fatha before the alif, so we're fine. We don't need another short vowel above the long vowel alif. So we say يقال. يقال. And since القصص is a non-human plural, what kind of conjugation do we use? Singular, third person, feminine. Alright, so we say تقال. Tu. This is the prefix for this kind of conjugation. So تقال القصص. Stories are told. Okay? By someone. An anonymous one. So, شاهد الناس كسوف الشمس. This verb has more than 3 radicals. So how is it going to behave when converting it to a passive verb? So شاهد, again, we'll start with the U verbs, with the dhamma. Shu. The alif, this long vowel, was matching the fatha before. Now it has to change to suit the dhamma before. So we'll put the waw, shu, shu. And the vowel, the short vowel before the last one has to be kasra. He, da. Alright? So this is important. And what follows if it's a weak letter and the kasra before the last one. Alright? Shuhida kusufu ash-shamsi. So kusufa ash-shamsi is the object and now is the subject of shuhida. So shahada an-nasu kusufa ash-shamsi. People watch the solar eclipse. So the solar eclipse was watched. Okay? تنقل شركات الاستيراد والتصدير البضائع برا وبحرا وجوا. What do we have here? تنقل, from the verb نقل, from one sound verb to transport. نقل. Conjugated in the present tense. Third person, singular, feminine. Because here the subject is a non-human plural. So, import and export companies transport goods, al-bada'i', goods, by land, barran, sea, and air. Okay? So, here, how do we convert that? Again, we will start with the U, tu. Tu. So this is a present tense of the verb naqala. So normally, if we had naqala, we say nuqila, u-i-a, okay? But for tanqulu, it's tu again. We keep the nun, tun, and the short vowel before the last one will be a fatha. Tunqalu. Tunqalu. So these are important. This dhamma and this fatha. Tunqalu. Tunqalu. Al-bada'i'a was the object. Now it will be the subject. Al-bada'i'u. Tunqalu al-bada'i'u. And the rest we will keep it as is. برا وبحرا وجوا. So the goods are transported. Something for you. When you list words, you cannot put commas in between and use and for the last word as in English. You have to put wa in between all of them. Alright? It's different from English. Okay. Here. وعدوا بهدية جميلة. وعدوا, وعد is to promise. وعد, verb starting with a weak letter. وعد, but it doesn't matter when we convert it to the passive form. وعد, وعد, u'i'a. Okay? وعدوا, they were promised for a they were promised with a beautiful gift. So here, adding pronominal suffixes to passive perfective verbs is not any different from adding them to the active verbs. So normally the active conjugation of وعدوا وعدوا, they promised وعدوا. Okay? وعدوا, you use the U for the first radical, E for the second, and you keep this suffix as is. وعدوا, they were promised, okay, with a beautiful gift. بهدية جميلة. تركت وحدها. ترك, to leave. When you are pissed off and you leave. Okay, ترك, to leave. تركت وحدها, since we are referring the third person singular feminine, so the conjugation will be she. UIA. تركت, and we add the ta, referring to هي. هي means she. هي. وحدها, she was left alone. وحدها, alone. ها, referring to her. تركت, she was left. Here. بنى بيتا قرب المدرسة الأمريكية. Here we have the verb بنى ending with the shortened ألف. ألف مقصورة. الفعل الناقص, defective verb. So let's see how is it going to behave when we convert it to the passive form. بني. UIA. What did we do here? We started with the U, as always, U, and the kasra for the stem radical. And here, since the alif maqsura is preceded by kasra, so we need a match. What do we need? A long vowel, ya. Buniya. How do we convert an active geminate verb to the passive? Let's check. عد. عد, to count. It has also another meaning, to consider, depending on the context. So عد has three radicals like any other form one sound verb. عين, دال, دال. So just let's apply what we have learned. The U for the first radical, and the kasra for the stem radical, and the dal. عُدِدَ. عُدِدَ means it was counted or it was considered. Alright. So here, with this example. عُدِدْنَ أُسْتَاذَاتٍ قَدِيرَاتٍ. هُنَّ. The third person, feminine, plural. هن عُدِدْنَ أُسْتَاذَاتٍ قَدِيرَاتٍ. They were considered as capable or potential professors. Alright? عددنا is its active voice. عددنا. They considered. Here, they were considered. Alright? An action came from somebody else. There is another type of passive verbs, passive without agent, which is also called in Arabic as al-mutawi'. 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 The amenable, the agreeable, the obedient, the good boy. Verbs carrying this meaning are the ones from Form 7 with the in prefix, in. It denotes a passive action toward the subject without mentioning anything about the fact that someone did it. So everybody's innocent. It ignores the performer of the action. For example, انقطع الحبل. The rope was cut off. Who did the cutting? We don't know. I am innocent, you are innocent, everybody's innocent. It just happened. The nature did it. If you don't have anybody to blame, just blame the nature. It happened. Okay? So انقطع from form, derived from form 1 قطع. قطع is to cut. So if you say قطع الحبل, so he did it voluntarily. Alright? But if you say انقطع الحبل, it happened. Okay? انكسر الفنجان. From the verb كسر, كسر, to break. The cup was broken. I don't know how that happened. انكسر. It happened. Alright? So, if you don't want to hear any blaming, just use the passive form 7. Alright. When forming an internal passive from form 7, the meaning will change to the passive of the unknown, because here we didn't alter any short vowels. Alright? The passive meaning is it's in it. It's built in. Alright? Otherwise it would behave differently. So the form 7 verb is always intransitive. It doesn't take or welcome any objects. And often is passive, a passive version of form 1. So قطع, انقطع, كسر, انكسر. Reflexive is another passive verb type. It encompasses the definitions of both the active and passive voices, as it indicates an action carried out by the subject and directed toward the subject at the same time. Thus, the subject of a reflexive verb is both a performer and recipient of the action, as in form 6 verbs. Alright, for example, تعاون. تعاون, to cooperate, to help each other. تعاون. So, helping each other. I help you, you help me. Alright? Reciprocal action. Or, what else? تعامل. تعامل. تعامل, it's to do business with one another. Or تصافح, to shake hands. I shake your hand, you shake my hand. تصافح. Alright? And so on. Passive conjugations are differentiated from active conjugations by internal vowel changes. Okay? So the similar look of the active and passive conjugations without short vowels may confuse you when it comes to reading texts. Alright? We already know that Arabic is confusing. Therefore, context is what will tell you what's going on. Arabic in context is our slogan. Always ask yourself, who did the action. Alright? So if you get answers, you won't be lost. And stay active, but welcome the passive to your life. Alright, that was all what I had to teach you today. Until then, you miss me and like me. إلى اللقاء.